Today we play golf.
Let me show you how we do it in the pros.
Welcome to Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
I never miss with the 7-iron.
A conversation with some of the most interesting innovators and entrepreneurs behind the biggest names in golf.
My friends with the golf clubs. I lived on the golf course. I lived on the driving range.
From pro talk
You should learn something from each and every single round you play in.
to fun from on and off the green.
Why would you play golf if you don't play it for money?
Just let me put the ball in the hole.
This is Behind the Golf Brand Podcast with Paul Liberatore.
What's up, guys? Paul from Golfers Authority. Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand Podcast. We are on episode 65. So 65, that's a lot for me, man. I started this thing 2 years ago. So it's like 30, 40 a month or a year. I mean, I can do math too early this morning. But this week, I have my friend Ean Martin from Quantix Golf Balls. I've been with Ian probably for, I don't know, at least 2 years. So it's like kind of cool to have him on the show now because we haven't talked in a while, but we always like do stuff together. So I really want to know more about like how he grew Quantix and where they're going and everything. So I'm really excited to have him on the show today. So without further ado, Ian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate you having me on. And, as you said, it's been a great 2 years off and on knowing you, and I'm thrilled to be here finally.
So where are you located?
So we're located in the heart of Fort Worth, Texas. Most people associate Fort Worth with Ben Hogan and Colonial Country Club. You see the Charles Schwab Challenge every single year on the PGA, always a big event. So we're right here in Fort Worth. And, we believe Fort Worth's a big golf city and it has potential to be even bigger. And so that's why, we chose to be here.
We're going to play a little game. It's called What's Your Story? When did you first get into golf?
So I've been into golf off and on my entire life. My dad used to play professionally a little bit back in the late 90s. And so I grew up with golf all around me. We even had a nice little short game area with synthetic green in the backyard, bunkers, everything. I mean, it was great. I grew up with that. And so golf's always been around me. And, it really wasn't until, maybe high school, I picked golf up back again and, started playing tournaments for the first time. And then after that, I graduated high school. I took a break from golf completely, man. I didn't even watch tournaments, nothing. It was just the end of it. I turned a new chapter in my life, and I was like, okay, that's it. Then I got about halfway or 3/4 of the way through college, and I was thinking, hey, what's the next step in my life? Where am I going with things? Obviously majored in business. I had kind of the aptitude for, business thinking and whatnot. I was thinking one day, what stopped me from getting back into golf? Whether that was playing or some kind of product, what would that be? So the first thing I thought of was my good friend, Larry Godorniga, who's our lead ball engineer. And he used to work for Titleist, for anyone who's not familiar with him. He used to work for Maxfli, Dunlop. And two of his biggest achievements was the Titleist Tour Balata. And he created that when he was with Titleist. He's listed on every one of their patents for it. He played a huge part in that, which obviously set Titleist on the path towards getting to the Pro V1 eventually, making that big switch, as one of the major shifts in golf balls. And then another one of his big career changes was when he personally worked for Jack Nicklaus on developing his 1986 winning Masters golf ball. Which obviously that's a very big year for Jack. It's a very well-known year for golfers, everywhere. So I called, long story short here, I called Larry and he was previously retired. He was done in the ball industry after, 20.
How'd you call him? Like, how'd you even know him? Did you look him up or what?
No, so he's been a longtime family friend since, when I was just a little kid. So he was one of those people.
Your dad's friends with him?
Yeah, he was one of those people that I could just call up, pick his brain. And so sure enough, I called him up and I said, hey, I know you're retired and, you're probably enjoying your life, but how would you like to get back in the ball industry? And he says, yeah, absolutely. For you, let's do it. So that it was as easy as that. And, from that point on, we started working on the R&D side of things and kind of developing and, checking our player profiles, what we wanted to see, what consumers needed to see. Obviously there's been a flood of DTC companies, but we want to make sure that whatever we engineered would be so different in the market that people would have no choice but to at least.
What year was that?
That was in 2019. So we originally started in April of 2019.
Probably when I met you, man. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Remember saying that? Like, it took right when you probably first came out. I remember
Yeah.
that.
So it's been a really short period of time from, when we had nothing to where we are right now. But I mean, Larry's expertise, the man knows what he's doing, and he's a purple cow in the golf industry, because most people who have as much experience as him of working in ball R&D and engineering, they're gone. They're retired, and you're not going to get them back. So it's rare to take his expertise of working with some of the biggest and best players in the world back in the day, and really following the industry all the way from making the change from liquid to wound cores to solid cores to urethane coverings, and where we're at today. It's great to have him on board.
You graduated from college, and what was your first job? You didn't go right into this. Were you working some other job, and you're like, man, I want to like do my own thing, or what?
Yeah. So I'm funny enough. I'm a very big entrepreneurial guy. I take a lot of calculated risks. So I put all my eggs in one basket because I believed in what I was going to do and what we would become. And so, this is junior year of college, and I'm thinking, I'm going all in on this. I know it's going to work. I know we can do it. I know we have the expertise and everything that we need to be successful with this. So I jumped straight into it. There was no extra job lined up with anything. There was no.
I would have slowed you down.
I mean, it was just a nonstop train of, I saw my finish line of where I wanted to take my company. And I took it and I ran as fast as hard as I could.
So what year did you graduate college?
What's that?
What year did you graduate college?
I graduated in 2019, January of.
How old are you? 23?
What's that?
24? How old are you?
I'm 23. Yeah, 24 in June.
I just want to tell you guys something, right? I know some of the smartest business people I know right now in golf are like younger than 25. Just want to say that. Like they found what the niche would be, and they just went all into that niche, and then like that's it. That's what you.
I mean, we have. I gotta give it to our age group. We have the advantage of having our younger bodies. So for me, I sleep 4 to 5 hours a night. It works for me. Maybe have a Red Bull a day, sure, but I still have that extra energy. Now, obviously, I can't keep this up forever, but I'm gonna use it while I have it. So,
bro, I know. Like I was you like 20 years ago, so I know. At some point, no, you probably not married yet. That's why. Are you married? No. Oh fuck. All right. Do you have kids?
No kids. I'm okay on kids for a few years.
Yeah, I was married. That was like honeymoon time. It was like do stuff and hang out and fun. And then we have kids. Like, I mean, I love my kids, but we're busy as hell all the time with like, sports or whatever events. But
yeah, my hope is whenever I do have kids that they will be golfers as well. But of course, I'm not the type of guy. Whatever they want to do, by all means, they can do it. But God, I hope it's golf.
I said that too, man. I was like, I'm gonna get my kids lessons, and then like I got my older son. He likes to go play, and like and my younger son likes my dad plays my younger son plays golf with my father all the time. But like I get him lessons because he's actually really good. But it's hard because when you have kids who are like in multiple sports, like he's in baseball and golf. Yeah. Then the baseball guys are like, oh, he shouldn't be golfing, and then the golf guys are like, oh, you should be playing baseball, And it's like, well, which one do you actually have a chance in like doing something with in life? Like not baseball, right? I mean, I'm not saying my son couldn't do that in baseball. It's just like it's a much harder trajectory, right? Like, and you're gonna play golf the rest of your life, so it's almost like you're gonna stop playing baseball when you're older. I mean, I would quit playing. That's my thought, but.
I mean, there's a reason everyone retires while playing golf. They play football, they play baseball, hockey, whatever. At the end of the day, all these guys are playing golf. I mean, look at Tony. The guy broke his back like 3 times, and now here he is, playing mini tours. So it's insane.
So you're junior in college, and you're like, so did you think like, what made you want to do balls though? I mean, 2019 there was. Probably there wasn't as many direct to consumer ball brands as there are now, right? Because I feel like a lot of brands in the last 2 years have they're not new brands to golf. They're already brands that existed that make other accessories. And like, oh, we're gonna do balls because they see I mean, honestly, balls are the most consumed product in golf, right? So it's like a very good product to sell. Because you have. Did you just think like balls is what I wanted to do? I want to do direct to consumer, or like what did you think?
Well, I had, I had a very specific goal in mind with things, and from my market research that I had done, at the time was the most overlooked thing in my opinion was golf balls, and it was exactly what you said. A lot of companies would just get into golf balls as a good supporting role product for their clubs or whatever other accessories they have because it is such a large consumable. So my first thing I thought was, a lot of people are putting too much emphasis on the clubs when the ball is that's the only piece of equipment you're hitting every shot. And, that's one of my favorite lines to go to because it matters the most out of anything because you can have a driver that is, flawless in every way. But if the ball is spinning too much, you're going to lose 30, 40 yards. And, the ball matters so much to that point. And, when thinking about all this, my connections with Larry, it was really just the idea.
You had an advantage because you weren't like some guys who are like, I want to go buy some balls from China and slap a label on it. And
exactly. And that's
make it cool colors, and
I say we
crap on the planet.
Quantix does not sell vibes. We sell performance. Because I mean, I've been sick and tired of seeing everybody with, well, we have this alignment that looks cooler, or we have this colored golf ball, or we have this cheap golf ball with cool packaging. Like it's the same stuff mass reproduced overseas over and over and over, and that helps nobody. It helps absolutely nobody. It just confuses the marketplace even more. I mean, if you take all the DTCs away and you're left with your major OEMs, that's confusing enough. I mean, Titleist has 6 golf balls. Most people fit into their main 2, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, Titleist has 6, Callaway has 5, TaylorMade has 3, whatever it might be. There was already so many there, and now you muddy up the water with even more that are coming from the same 3 factories overseas, calling them, different names, different colors. It's all the same at the end of the day. That's where your brand comes into play. And no knock on them for creating something, but it's just not how we roll. We wanted to take the actual true performance aspect of things, and we wanted to give.
Here's what I think. I think there's only a very small handful of direct to consumer ball brands that are actually a very good ball, right? Like, and that the rest are just painted. Let's put it that way. 100%. And yeah, you can pay $20 for it or $22 for a pack or whatever of pretty balls and you don't really care where they go, but really at the end of the day you do because you're going to realize that they're not that good.
Yeah. So, I'm sure any golfer goes out there, even if they say, I just want a ball that I can lose and not worry about. There's not a single golfer who doesn't care about their score at the end of the day, no matter what they say, whether they're going out and drinking with their friends for the whole day, having a great time.
They're lying, dude.
They still care about their score because otherwise,
here's the truth, right? Here's what I think, and I haven't done this yet, but I've had a lot of my subscribers and followers email me and say it'd be cool to do a bunch of ball comparisons, right? Like cut them open, talk about them, go hit them at the range, take them with a shot monitor, hit them in a sim, not like an independent study, but just more like okay, and then talk about hey, what do you think about this ball? Yeah, and that's one thing I want to do this next coming year because no one's really doing that, right? It's almost like they'll do an individual video of them using the ball in the course, but it's different. It's not. Yeah. And I feel that for me, I know what balls. I've used a ton of balls, right? I get a lot of free balls. I know which ones I like and I know which I don't like, and I feel that there's a very small percentage of companies that actually make a very high quality ball that's not an OEM. And even the OEM balls, I feel like they're overrated. They're just hyped up. So that's my opinion.
I mean, when you look at it, Titleist has been in the game so long. I use them as an example just because, they have the most history. But if you think about how they got to the price of where they're at of $50 a dozen, they set the price. You know, they
came out with a new ball, make it $100, and people go buy it. Like all the fanboys.
yeah, I mean, they created the premium of the golf ball market, and you know, the Titleist Pro V line could have been absolutely trash, but because of their long-standing history with things, they set the price, and the market followed. And it's, you know, it's as simple as that. Of course, they use premium materials, but it's at the end of the day, so do we. You know, it's all a part of the name game, and you know, first to market advantage.
What I thought was really cool, was a couple years ago when my Golf Spy like cut open all those balls from Callaway, and they're like, "Yo, these are not even center," and it was like, "Oh, like that was
crazy."
That was crazy because you realize these are. I mean, not against Callaway, and mad props to my Golf Spy because they did it. It's just like, holy crap, because you don't realize that. Like, I'm not saying there's other ball brands out there that have the same problem, but no one's cutting open the ball, right? Essentially, so that was massive.
That was, and you know, the fact that my Golf Spy essentially forced Callaway's hand without them ever saying that. I mean, they tried to sue my Golf Spy a few times, but the fact that they forced Callaway's hand and putting $50 million into their ball factories, I mean, that's pretty insane. It was a great move in the right direction for him. I'll never be a Callaway guy, you know, even if I didn't have my ball company, I'd never really
like
always,
I don't own golf,
but you know, I appreciate for the overall movement of the golf industry. You know, I appreciate the work that they put into it on their side.
You have to, because it's like a picture says, you know, what they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Like if you see a ball that's not centered, you're like, yo, and that's what makes me wonder, like with the more cheap direct to consumer companies, you know, I'm very loosely the word cheap. Let's say it's under $22. Like how good are those balls really? You know, are they just pretty or are they good? I don't know. I have no idea. But
I mean, the thing is with them, you're gonna find a batch of good ones. You're gonna find a batch of bad ones.
Oh yeah, I bet you guys. I mean, you guys probably do all kinds of R&D and testing, and you're like, oh man, what the hell? Because you can't. I mean, are your balls made? Where are your balls made? Here or in China?
So they're made over in China. We rent out one of the old Nike factories that Nike used when they were in the industry. We're working. The good news on this side is we're working on bringing all of our manufacturing here to Fort Worth in the next year and a half. So we will be the first.
That's a huge advantage.
Made in the United States.
Oh yeah, because now you have a whole. Yeah, that's gonna be a massive advantage.
Yeah.
Not only for your supply chain, but like just for the only American-made ball. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean it's anybody's. You know, after seeing the supply chain crisis, it's anybody's dream to have their product made in America. Knowing that the next time this happens, because history always repeats itself, the next time this crisis happens, that we're going to be
it's still not fixed.
You know, there's always a new one. You know, no one's ever going to solve everything. But
so, where would you make your balls at in Texas?
Where would we make them?
Yeah,
we would make them here in Fort Worth. Is the goal?
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a lot of the shaft companies are now. There's a lot of shaft companies in Texas too. I know that.
Yeah, UST is about 15 minutes away from us, just on the east side of Fort Worth. And then cool. we've got our friends over at Ben Hogan about 10 minutes south of us on the south side of Fort Worth, and we're kind of just over here on the west side.
So you come out. So you started your ball company in 19, right? You come out, and what model comes out first?
So the first model that we released was the F35 Control, and that's our 3-piece ionomer blend cover ball, and that has our proprietary Tri-Tech cover, which has some unique characteristics. I believe that's the one you were able to try out a few years back
when I first saw it.
And that one's specifically engineered for massive distance off the tee with very low spin. We tried to keep it right around 1900 to 2100 RPMs in a consistent range for most golfers. And then the crazy portion about it is you see a low spinning ball off the driver. Well, you assume it's got to be low spinning throughout the whole bag. But then you get to irons and it spins up to 7,500 on a 7-iron, which the biggest performance attributes with that is it's going to help golfers get the ball in the air with their irons, not be hitting these little mini golf shots through the fairways, and it'll help them stick greens. And, you know, the biggest problem with a lot of amateur golfers is, you know, not necessarily, you know, hitting the fairways. A lot of them can do that or get very close to where they're not in a terrible spot. But, you know, it's when it gets down to their close game that they have trouble. They can't hit, you know, they can't hit the green, or if they miss the green, they have trouble chipping, so on and so forth. So we wanted to make sure that we gave them the best opportunity from the fairway, you know, while still giving them a good feeling ball and one that can, you know, be bombed down the fairway. But that was our first one, and we released that one on January 1st, 2020. So we brought in what panned out to be an interesting year with a brand new ball on the first day of the year.
Did you guys go to the PGA show that year?
No, we did not. You know, we had talked about it, and you know, we just thought where we're sitting at right now,
Too early.
It's too early. You know, we had another ball that was wrapping up an R&D, and that was our F18 tour, our 3-piece urethane. And you know, my thought was, I don't want to go until we have our urethane tour offering, because that's the one that whether golfers, you know, actually need it or not, that's the one they think they're going to want. And, you know, I don't want to show up without that. And sure enough, you know, COVID happened and that ball got delayed by a few months, didn't come out till I think roughly the end of March, when it was supposed to be end of January. And so, you know, we said no to the PGA show that year. And then we actually haven't been to one yet. I mean, I've been to some personally, but we haven't as a company been to one. So we were thinking about going this year, but now, you know, there's been a lot of companies that have declined to go for whatever reason. And, you know, we kind of see that we have the ability to make a very big presence, because the way we operate our company is kind of a hybrid DTC, where we're hitting large amounts of online sales, but we're still, you know, still bringing in, you know, small retail and pro shops into play. You know, there's not as much upside to going to the PGA show based on our current model. You know, yes, we could pick up a few, you know, wholesalers on that side, but you know, we have a rep that covers the entire southern half of Florida who does phenomenal. You know, Northeast, out in California as well. So, you know, we've got people scattered across the United States that do their job great, and so, you know, I feel we can better use our money than head on to the show and have a, you know, grand old booth.
So, are you gonna go this year or no?
I'm hoping to go myself this year. As a company,
not get a booth.
As a company, probably not. But for myself, of course, I love to go and scope things out.
Yeah, I know a lot of brands are not going, like a lot. You know, it's kind of like I've been like texting all my friends asking like, "Hey, you going?" "Oh, we're not going." "Oh yeah, we're going." "Oh, you should go." "You should go." So like, I don't even know what to do, really. Yeah. I mean, I don't get a booth or anything. I just go around, hang out, and see my friends essentially, and
right.
Which is kind of cool because it's like, but I think a lot of the big OEMs aren't going, so it's kind of an advantage, especially. But I've talked to people and saying who've gone, had a booth, and said I didn't get one sale from the booth, right? Like I know tons of people have said that, like tons and tons. So it's like almost. It's a misnomer for people to think that if they go and they get a booth, I feel like my dad did this a million years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Be shared a booth with somebody that like people feel like if they go to the PGA show, get a booth, that they're gonna get a million sales, right? And then it's gonna launch their whole company, and that's just not the case.
Yeah,
like,
without the brand building on the other side, I mean, it's all the PGA show is a supportive role for whatever else you're doing. You know, if you're doing a terrible job,
it's part of it's part of your quiver of arrows, essentially. And
yeah. If you're doing it,
and if you don't have the budget, then don't go get a booth. Like, just go and hang and talk to people and set up meetings and, you know, that kind of thing.
No, I mean, networking is super important, and I think that a lot of people can do a better job of it walking around themselves without a booth and, you know, meeting key people than they can sitting in a booth waiting for people to come to them. I mean, unless you're putting on a spectacular show, you know, with fireworks indoors, you know, it's not going to go as well as everyone would like it to go. It's a great tool to have once you're an established brand, you know, to get new people seeing your stuff in person if they haven't before or whatever it might be. But
hit it, touch it, feel it, use it.
With a small audience there comes a bigger audience. But if you have no audience that you know is coming, you're going to get a small one.
Somebody made a really good point to me yesterday about it. They said, I don't sell my products to like professionals. Like, they don't buy my product, right? Like, in like PGA professionals essentially. And I'm like, in my 20 years of business, I've never sold it one time. Like, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense, So I think, I don't know. I think it's gonna be good because I think it didn't happen last year.
Yeah.
Nobody, they had an online one this
That
year.
was that pretty much it didn't exist in my mind.
That when I saw that, I'm like, you think people are gonna pay to be on a Zoom call for 4 days? Good luck with that.
Yeah, no,
like,
thank you. The less I can look at my computer screen, the better.
yeah, like, so I don't know. I'm probably gonna go. Like, I'm probably gonna go just to hang.
Yeah.
And I mean, I made a lot of connections that year, but it wasn't like, it was just, I already knew a lot of people, so it was really cool. It was almost like a homecoming because it was like finally seeing people I've talked to and hung out with, like on the show, or like we've worked together in the past. It's like you already knew these people, So
For sure.
So you came out with your
place all around the U.S. once a year. You can catch up with everybody. So
yeah, I did a lot of hanging out. That's what I did. With beers. It was funny because, like, I mean, you just walk around, you bump into people. Like, I remember I was doing something, like my buddy Brandon at Chippo. Like, I was walking. I went to an event. I was hanging. Well, I was in an event. It was dinner because I'm really good friends with the guy at Truth Link Square, and we're hanging at Top Golf. And I was leaving, and then like Chippo was doing some. I didn't know who Chippo was. I mean, I kind of knew who they were, but they were like out while I was walking by, and I was like talking to this random guy, and I was like, "Oh, what do you do for Chippo?" I was like, "Oh, I own the company," and I was like, "No shit, really? Like, that's like for real?" It's like, yeah. And then like we became friends. Like, it's just so random, like that. And like, or like people say, like, "Oh, you should go talk to so and so. So and so's here. Just tell them I sent you." And just, I don't know. It's just fun.
For sure.
I think it's a good advantage. I think if you go this year, it's a big advantage for smaller brands because the big ones are not going to be there to hog up the show.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a lot more like interaction. And like, quite honestly, I wasn't like hanging out in the Titleist Callaway area. I could care less. Like, I went and took pictures, and that was about it. Like, that isn't. I can read the internet to find out what's coming out. Like, I don't really need to talk to the rep. But that's kind of an advantage. Because I also met a lot of YouTubers that I already knew. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's always a fun time.
So when you came out with your first balls, what's the difference between F35 and F18?
Yeah, so the F18 is our tour offering. It's our 3-piece urethane, and pretty much the biggest difference between those two balls is just the cover. The F35 has a little bit more juice packed into it, just because of who we're targeting with that ball. The F18 has just a little bit more, ironically, has a little bit more touch of control as far as the flight of the ball, and just that very, very close chipping feel around the green. But really, the primary difference is just the cover, versus our Tri-Tech ionomer cover or our cast urethane cover.
Which one do you like to use?
I use our F18 Tour. One of my favorite things is throw shots into the green and rip them back. And so that's my favorite thing to do. And that's one of the big reasons I play the F18 is for the extra spin around the green. Luckily my entire bag is at the moment perfect.
Titleist.
No, actually my bag is a mix of Artisan. I have the guys over at Artisan are really close friends of mine. My house is about 30 seconds away from their facility, so I've hung out with them quite a bit. I actually have one of the Nike Proto drivers unreleased, number 3 of 10 in the world.
Really?
Just gave it to me. I said, "Hey, my driver broke," and Mike over at Artisan's like, "Hey, here, take this one." He grabs a brand new Nike head. And because they used to be the guys that at the Nike R&D facility and at the oven, and so he's like, "Yeah, here, just take this one." And it's got a sticker on it, number 3 of 10, blacked out Nike Vapor Pro Fly, and I'm like, I don't want to hit this. Cool.
Like, I'm never gonna hit this club ever.
I played a few rounds with it though, and I got to say it's the most unforgiving driver I've ever hit in my life. But when I was hitting center face with it, the thing was pure. I mean, it was competing. I have the Sim 2 in the bag, as my main go-to driver, but that Nike, it competed with it, on center face. You miss the center face, good luck. But
really?
Yeah, but
It's like when you use blades, if you have blade irons, and you're like, it's the same thing. If you're not, this is how ignorant I was. Like I had blades. Well, I used to have blades, and like I didn't know the difference really. And I was like, man, I suck at these. And my boy's like, it's because you're using blades, man. You're not even good enough to be using those clubs. And I was like, seriously? He's like, oh, try this, like whatever. And I got the ball straight down the fairway. I was like, what the hell? Seriously?
Yeah, I grew up. It's funny. I'm kind of the opposite. I can't hit anything that's not blades. The first set of clubs I hit was the Mizuno MP32s, and I played with those from 2006 up until last year. Wow. And I mean, they're butter knives. There's no forgiveness packed into them. It was when they still included a 3-iron brand new in the set, and it wasn't.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah, the last year, over the past year and a half, I've become great friends with the guys over at Ben Hogan. So they hooked me up with a set of their Icon irons, and I thought the Mizunos were butter knives. No, these are butter knives. But
really?
I tested out multiple sets of clubs. It's not that I was just stubborn and wanted to stick with my Mizuno irons, but there was just nothing that felt that good. And then I hit the Icons, and I said, hey, this is good enough for me. I'm gonna roll with it. So that's what's in my bag right now. And I love blades. My hand has gone numb a few times when I just hit a really bad shot, slightly off toe or wherever. But for the most part, for me growing up playing with those, I don't know. I think
you're used to it.
Might be
you're trained on them, so it's not like you don't see the difference.
Yeah, I look down at it. It's what I'm familiar with, what I'm comfortable with, and I just roll with it. So until I'm, in my 50s or 60s and my back just doesn't work anymore and I need that forgiveness, I'm gonna ride the blade train as long as I can.
The blade train. So what's your plans for like next year? You guys gonna become a new stuff, or are you guys going to be focusing on what you already came out with, or what's?
Yeah, so we have a few things in the works. I'll leave it, until we make an official announcement of things. We have one
new stuff coming in the works, so like new designs coming out.
Yeah, we have new things. When everyone listens, we have 2 new offerings coming here in roughly 2 to 3 weeks. We'll call it.
That's cool.
It'll be a little bit earlier, but that's some really exciting stuff that everyone's going to love. So we're really excited for it on our end. But then hopefully end of quarter 2, quarter 3 of 2022, we're hoping to bring out another tour-esque ball. Where I won't give too many details on it, but
yeah, you're still
if you enjoyed the F18, for anybody who's enjoyed the F18, we're taking another step up in it, and it's going to be real big.
Question: why do you name all your balls after fighter jets?
So originally, it wasn't named after fighter jets. As hard as that is to believe. So when this
the next one we have is the F4, and then after that we're going to have the. I love fighter jets. I'm just joking around.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I used to be a pilot. I know every fighter jet I probably ever made, essentially.
Wow.
So I saw it. I'm like, oh, cool, you're all named it for fighter jets. Nice.
Yeah. So originally it wasn't even meant to be like that. When we were going through our initial startup stages, I mean, like really like naming that early on. Originally we were going to call ourselves Aperture Golf, like camera aperture. And so the whole play on everything would have been, when you have your aperture settings in a camera, you have like f/like 1.8 or by whatever. So we were just going to turn that into kind of a fun play on things of like f/18, f/35, and have it as just kind of a condensed aperture camera setting. And the whole idea of it was our focus is on your game, focus is in aperture. Everything played in together, but. We're going through the legal stages of things, and we're filing our trademarks and everything. And the USPTO is like, "Hey, you guys can't use this." And we're like, "Well, why is that?" Like we did our research. We had our attorneys check everything. What's wrong with it? And they're like, "Well, the retail company Zoomies in most malls, if you've ever been to one, it's kind of like a skate shop, but they had a clothing line called Aperture, and because we wanted also the exclusive rights to clothing on it." They wouldn't give it to us for anything, not even balls or anything like that. So we said, well, you know what? Screw it. I don't want that anymore. In my mind, it was tainted. I'm done. I'm not going to fight for it.
Now you got this weird, I totally get that.
I wanted a fresh, clean start with everything. And luckily, that was such, so far in the beginning that it didn't matter. We could afford to have a mistake like that happen. But that's when we got
very little money was invested.
Yeah, that's when we got to the name Quantix, which is just a combination of quantum physics shoved into a cool word, which is came up with that on taking the real ideals of golf. Golf is a game of physics. Quantum physics is how everything works in the world. So we put those together and made a good time of it. But
I'm gonna ask you a question too. Now you just beat me that question, bro. So how'd you come up with Quantix?
Yeah. But so with the ball names, we did the whole renaming of the actual company, got into Quantix, and then I'm like, I don't want to change the ball names. I like them how they are. When I first came up with them, they rolled off my tongue nicely. I liked how they sounded, and I said, you know what, for now, we're gonna roll with it. So sure enough, we kept that. Now, obviously, the lines will always change. They won't be here forever. As we progress as a company, we'll can continue to introduce more lineups and change names and whatnot. But for the next few years at least, we'll have the F18 Tour and F35 Control.
Are you gonna keep the same naming convention, or are you gonna change it up with your new versions?
So I have a few names in mind.
Paul's a good name.
Until we might just have
Ian. The Ian 35. See, that's what I would call ball right there.
We might just have to do something like that. But we have a few different
Paul 2.0.
They don't follow the same lineup as the F series.
My ball would be like a wiffle ball, like you practice ball. Like, oh, we made a ball for you, Paul. It's like one crappy wiffle balls you hit in the backyard. I'm like, oh, thank you.
In that case, mine will be the foam balls because I like to spin wedges. So we'll get those foam ones that can do some good spinning, and we'll call it the Ian 35.
So, how much did you guys grow in 2 years? I mean, you literally started at the pandemic.
Yeah, we went from zero. We went from nothing, no customers whatsoever. We had our first customer 2.5 weeks after launch.
I know it was your dad, dude. Who's your second customer?
It wasn't. Funny enough, he's gotten his stuff for free. I don't charge.
Shocker. My dad gets stuff for free too. He just comes to my garage and takes it. Oh, cool. You got anything new?
So we had our first person 2.5 weeks into January after we launched. But now we're up over 16,000 people so far, and
that's a lot, dude.
Yeah,
2 years.
It's been insane. And that's those are only the metrics that we can track. That's for online sales. We have I think we're up to 9 pro shops across the U.S. now. A handful here in DFW. Florida, and then the northeast corner. So all I know is that they, as far as our wholesale stuff goes, they hit their performance metrics up there. Of most of them go between 20 and 40 dozen per ball per order. They sell through them, and it works well. But I don't know how many customers they're serving. They could be serving one customer, each, who's just buying a ton.
The metrics have to go away because I have no idea. I know they bought 40 units or 50 units, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm not a pro at this, but I kind of feel like pro shops get a bad rap because I don't feel like because of internet sales now, there's not many sales reps going around to golf shops and selling product. I know they say, oh yeah, there's guys still doing that. Yeah, but how much? Because when you're going to go to a pro shop, they don't have anything. You go in there and it's a dumbed down version of going to PJ Superstore. It's 5 things. Some ugly ass shirts that has the logo of the golf course, 4 putters. And then a bunch of balls and tees and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really turned into, a lot of people have the idea of well, I would rather go shop at a small place than go to a big box retail store. And
buy online. I want
used to be, yeah, and used to be, it would be well, I want to stay out of the pro shops because I want to support maybe a smaller one. But now the pro shops have become the smaller animal in the food chain.
And usually they don't have anything. They don't have anything to sell. It feels
first priority is your big box stores, and then everyone moves to online, And the way I saw it was, well, pro shops are not ready to die yet. There is
We'll never die
until maybe our generation and the generation before us dies out. Maybe at that point in time, pro shops may become obsolete. Who knows? I don't think they ever will.
I
But
doubt it. They're on site. Like,
yeah,
I mean, there's always going to be something there selling the small stuff,
for sure. And so we wanted to make sure that we served them. We didn't want to just go full online, because there's always people who just enjoy buying in person, and they like picking the head pro's brain about the product in their shops.
Does the head pro really even know anymore? I doubt it.
That
was one reason why I started this stuff, because I was like, you can't ask anybody anymore. The pro doesn't know, like and you go to the store, a big box retailer, those guys don't know. I got with the Dick's the other night, and it was like ghost town, man. They had nothing in there.
Really?
It was all like, it was like it looked like picked over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like old ass clubs, like old ass like generation drivers. I'm like, why are you even selling these anymore? What do you have M4s? Like, seriously? It's like, and it's on the rack, and I was like, this is just weird. And if you don't know any better, you just spend $400, $500 for old ass driver you can buy online for half the price.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, nothing against the M4. I like the M4. It's just I just feel like, they had a ton of balls, and they had a ton of freaking apparel and hats, but that was about it. Everything else was just like crap.
Yeah, mostly,
I would never buy
it's
that.
usually all the the unwanted goods that are left over, and then you get people come in, they buy those because they don't know any better, and it is what it is. I don't know if you guys have Academy Sports where you're at, but we have like it's pretty much the same as Dick's Sporting Goods. It's just it's just as big. They sell everything from guns, golf, basketball, weightlifting, training apparel, all that stuff. But they're a big retail chain we have here throughout the South. But they did away with their golf section entirely. They used to carry so many clubs, and they're like, yeah, we're just stopping. We're just not going to do it anymore, because we can never get anything in, and people just don't want to come buy it here. And so I'm like, well, that's crazy. I was like, are you going to keep golf balls? And they're like, yeah, we'll keep golf balls. People still buy those. But like the inventory selection, even at Dick's Sporting Goods is like mediocre at best.
Do you guys have any plans to sell to big box retailers, like a wholesale deal?
The only two, which I guess you could kind of consider one that I would be willing to, is Dick's Sporting Goods / Golf Galaxy. I have already said no on Target, an absolute no on Walmart. So Target, as far as a big store goes, Target is my go-to, right? But
everyone goes to Target.
Where I see,
I hate Walmart.
I hate Walmart with a passion. Where I see our brand going is, it's just not in that direction. And sure, money is money, but at the end of the day, I would rather say no to their money to build it how I envision I see it going, and where the market takes us. But they bully you. When you get up to that stage, they bully you. They make sure that they're eking you out for every last penny, because they are taking on the risk, obviously.
But every retailer is, not just them.
And so it's
anybody who buys your stuff is taking on that risk.
If you're,
if there's a margin.
Yeah, if your wholesale's at 15 and your bottom cost might be at 10, you better believe they're going to be
for 9.
50. Yeah, maybe even 9. Who knows? But it's not something that I wanted to get into. I value our brand higher than saying we're in Target or we're in Walmart. It's just not worth it to me. I believe we can do so much more good, going directly to the consumers, or at the very least going through pro shops to the consumers. Working on a very tight basis where
I would probably go like online, all the retailers online, they're in the golf niche. I would go there first. Mm-hmm. And then like, I wouldn't even spend my time personally on like a Target, or like, I love Target, but like, there's no way on Walmart. And if I had a product, I would never.
For Walmart, in my opinion, that's where brands go to die. When you have absolutely nothing left,
you might find like Bridgestone E5 golf balls there. It's like, those came out like 6 years ago. Those are like the bottom of the barrel balls.
That's where you find like a bucket of 75 terribly refurbished golf balls that people still buy for whatever reason. But you don't see Walmart being updated with the newest golf tech every year. I mean, it's stuff that's years
Ever. It's only his balls. That's all they have there is balls.
Yeah. So it's.
I mean, I'll buy fishing equipment from them. That's not a problem. But
I haven't been to a Walmart in years. I can't
don't
even.
lie. You know, you go to Walmart all the time, dude. So right now, all your sales are coming from online, essentially. Well, not all of them. I would say like what 90% of your sales, 95% of your sales come from online. The rest
About
are
90% online, I say, is pretty accurate.
So let me ask this question then: how did you market? Right, because you're a new ball.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of freaking buyers, dude. That's a lot of freaking clients. Like seriously. So like, how did you market it? What was your marketing method?
Well, without giving too much away of what we do, the first thing we did was, after we went through our R&D process on the balls internally, we sent them over to Golf Laboratories, our friends over there. That's been someone that my family has personally known since since
your family knows everybody.
Early 90s.
Yeah,
I mean,
Hogan.
Connections are everything. Well, actually, funny enough, one of my dad's good friends, Bobby Bregan, he's passed away now. He was the neighbor across the street from Ben Hogan here in Fort Worth. So there's a little bit with that, but
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. He was big in MLB.
Your dad probably owns like Exxon or something. It's Mr. Exxon Martin.
Gosh, I lost my train of thought here. So
I'm funny. I'm funny. I should be a comedian.
You're great. This is the most fun I've had on a podcast in quite a bit.
I'm not gonna make it dry. No one cares about stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, we want. So, did you like running ads?
Oh, that's right.
Doing?
Sorry, yeah,
Probably had to be running ads.
Yeah. So we, the first thing we did was we took them out to Golf Laboratories and we had them tested. We put all the top ones out there. We even brought Snell out there because they tested well in my golf supply. So we ordered a dozen of each of their balls and we put them out there. We sent them, and the first thing we found out was, well, our two golf balls have the tightest dispersion out of the top 5 balls rated across the golf industry currently. It has the tightest dispersion and also the longest carry and longest roll distance out of all of them. And so
everybody else against the big boys.
Yeah. And so we took that and, we said, okay, so now that we have this data, we have all the raw swing data and everything, how can we use this to our advantage? So we kind of took the marketing approach of, as cliche as it sounds, like, hey, here's our test data. We literally sent out the PDF printouts from Golf Laboratories because it seems everybody beats Titleist these days, right? But they always put in these fancy charts. It's like, okay, but show me the raw data. No one shows the raw data. So what we did was we said, here's the raw data. Analyze it yourself. Make your decision. We'll be here. And sure enough, it was enough to get people going. And then in August of 2020, we had Rick Shields.
There you go.
He bought it on his own. I didn't even reach out to him.
Dude, that's what he does, bro.
Yeah.
Like, he buys his own stuff.
So
I do it. You get it from like a brand can send it to you to try it out, but like it's different. Like I don't know, you don't want to be owned by somebody.
For sure.
Rick Shields the man.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So he bought product. At the very least, we sent it out to him in 2 days. We got him on the expedited
overnight. Like you paid for like
normally taking about 5 days. We made sure we sent him.
You like deliver it to his house. You're like, hi, I'm Ian. Here you go. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Over to England, yeah. But yeah, so we got
one fact. Ian's dad knows Rick Shields too.
But he did his review, and then I believe it was like 4 or 5 days later, the guys over at TXG in
there you go.
They reviewed both the balls and the F35. So Maddie was hitting the F35 against the Pro V1 because he's like, well, like this ball like feels really hot, and he carries it 10 yards further over and over in the air than the Pro V1. I mean, the ball speed was in 2.5 miles an hour more. I mean, like the data proved to be what they were seeing on camera. And I think that was really the big kicker of that, for once a brand did not exaggerate of what it does. I like to think we have radical transparency. What we see is what we're going to give you. If something happens and we do not like it, we're going to change it before you even see
you're not going to put on the market and be like,
we're not going to go
buy it.
We're not going to go bring out a new ball and say, well, it does this, this, and that. Like, we're going to guarantee you to get more distance or more spin. Like, if the data is not there legitimately, we're sending it back to our R&D lab, and we're going to have our guys work on it until it's perfect. Which, that puts us on a weird schedule compared to most golf brands, because obviously as a smaller company, when we have, 40 some odd people, they have hundreds working on these things. But, it takes us longer to do things, but we do it right. And that's the biggest thing I see, is that we do it right. Even if it's not the first time, it's the first time when it's released to the public that it is right.
You're not going to bring something to market.
We won't bring something to market
something you don't believe in.
If we're not 100%
opposite of like everybody else.
If we're not 100% on board with it as a company entirely, there's one piece of the ball puzzle that we're not confident in. It goes back to R&D until it's right. And once
it gives you the flexibility, because you're a small brand making a quality product. Now, if you were a Titleist, you'd probably be like, oh, we need to make these now anyways.
Yeah. I mean, everybody fits to a schedule. It's, every January on the dot, same day, same time, new release. And it's like, okay, like, we know it's coming every year. We'd like to keep people on our toes. When we have something good, we're not going to hold off until a special time in the year. Like,
it's Father's Day, let's release it. Or
if we had something in March and it was ready to go in March, I don't care if it's like March 3rd, just a random day, like, hey, it's ready, it's out. We'll give it a few weeks to get marketing in order, but once something is ready
on the site,
it's the basic, internal workings. But as soon as
let me ask a question. Do you guys run Facebook ads or any of that stuff, or Google ads?
We do, yeah. We're actually not running anything right now because we have the new release I'm mentioning of things.
And you have it's super expensive right now to run ads.
Yeah, so we're not running anything at the moment. We're just relying on our good old email list to get us through, and sure enough, they always come through. So,
especially if it's like you give them a good holiday sale, they're like, "Oh, sweet, I can stock."
Yeah, luckily we were able to ride the Black Friday train a little bit. We had a great Black Friday, and we're carrying some of those things over.
What did you learn from it?
Sorry, what was that?
The things you've learned from the Black Friday thing too. I feel like every time you run a Black Friday campaign, you learn a lot.
You do.
You learn you learn a lot about what people really want to pay for products.
We changed some things up. So last year we did a buy 4 get 1 free. No, sorry, buy 3 get 1 free on balls last year. This year we decided to take a twist of just dropping the prices extreme. I mean, where you're instead of paying $33,
paying the same price.
Instead of paying $33 a dozen for the F18 Tour, you were paying $26 a dozen. So we decided to take that approach this year. It worked out phenomenally. We also had structured tier gifts where you spend $75, you're going to get something. You spend $125, we're going to give you a towel. Spend $200, you're going to get a whole extra a dozen towel and everything else combined. So, we try to incentivize to spend more per purchase. We had a lot of bag sales, which put people instantly, at $180 in their cart. They add balls to that. It's great, but you learn a lot every single year.
You also learn what not to spend time on. I feel like a lot of brands are good at one thing, and then they try to diversify themselves and sell a bunch of tchotchkes with the one thing. Yeah. And it's like now you're spending time trying to be a tchotchke seller. Like tees, balls, not balls, but tees and gloves, whatever it might be. Right. And then it's like, yeah, but people are not. It's an upsell, but do you really need the upsell because they're there to buy your product? Sure. I just think this weird. And it's not good or bad. It's just It's hard because in the mind of the buyer, they're like, well, why do I need to buy that for?
Yeah, and that's the number one thing that people have always asked me, since we've been in business is, well, are you guys only going to stick to golf balls? Are you ever going to do clubs or shafts or anything like that? And I said, no, we're not. I mean, until we get to a point where we're just dominating the golf ball game. We're not going to do that because
You're already seeing that, and I'm not gonna name brands, but they got good. Like I know at least 5 off the top of my head who are good at the one thing, and then they try to diversify themselves into like other things. And it's like you can't just be a store, dude. You can't just be like, oh, we sell all this with our branded stuff on it, because like, look, you're only known for this one little thing. Like that's what people come to your website for.
they always
Like,
say, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. And that's the way I see it is, you can be a pig all you want, and, you can make sure that you're, your one product line or, couple
you
product
gotta have a
lines
core.
that
You
you
gotta have
do
a core
good.
to stick to your core.
Yeah, and if you do that really well, like you're just going to be a fattened pig, and it's going to be okay because you do your thing really well. But the second that you get too greedy and you say, well, we were so successful in the golf ball space, we're going to enter into the
We're
driver's.
gonna go to bags.
Well, now all of a sudden, you just split your path in two, and
Your time.
your money.
And now you're chasing
all your
money because you're like,
resources.
oh, well, we bought these for this much, and here's our margin, and nobody's buying them. Shocker. And so then it's like, okay, what do we do? Do we liquidate, or do we like, yeah. And then it's like this compounding, right? The more products you have, the more stuff nobody cares about. It's more just chasing to get your money back, essentially.
Yeah, and if we ever do branch out to anything besides golf balls, it's not going to be something that we're developing. I mean, I'd much rather go buy another company.
Well, you should do a collab. Like that's what most brands should do. If they want to do a bag, you should do a collaboration with the bag company. Like the best advice I've ever been given is like from a big brand. They said we only collaborate with people that are really good at the one thing they're really good at.
That's what we did. That's what we did with Sun Mountain on our bags. Because I didn't, exactly as we've been saying, I did want to go put out the money to, have our own stuff.
Maybe sell a bag.
And
right? Like,
so I was like, well, let's collaborate with Sun Mountain. I've got good contacts over there that I've developed, over the past 6 months. And so I was like, well, let's go, approach them, see if we can do something. Sure enough, they were super happy to do it. And they're like, yeah, like we're all in on this. So we just did a collaboration on 3 different bag designs, and that was it. I mean, it was as easy as that. We had very little overhead to cover on that. Our liabilities were down extremely, and people got their bags. And they already had the reputable name of Sun Mountain. So it's like, well,
it's not like
I already know who Sun Mountain is.
China no-name brand bag.
Exactly. Exactly. They knew they had the quality of Sun Mountain. They could trust the name because it's been around for so long. But then they also got, their favorite golf ball brand on the bag. So it's like a win-win, right?
No, that's smart. Well, cool, man. I'm glad that we finally got to be on the show together. We should do it again.
Absolutely. I've got a special package that'll be coming out to you here probably before Christmas. So I want to make sure you're on the lookout for it.
Is it the Rick Shields package? You're gonna come to my house?
It's gonna be better than Rick Shields package. So
well, cool. You guys need to check out Quantix. They make some really good balls, like for reals. And the price point is like spot on. So it's not like you're getting like jacked around. You're getting a high quality ball for a very fair price. And as you can see, Ian, like they know what they're doing, and they have like a clear objective, and they really want to make you guys get better. So you guys need to check out Quantix. What's your guys' email address?
If anyone has
your URL, sorry.
Our URL, yeah, it's www.quantixgolf.com. You search Quantix Golf on Google, like you're gonna find it no matter what. It's nothing's close to it. But quantixgolf.com, anyone will find it. For everybody listening, I also want to give you guys a chance to have a discount on things. So if you're listening, use the code GET10 and we'll take 10% off your first order. Pretty much that'll cover you free 2-day shipping. If you want to look at it that way, it all works out the same. But we want to make sure you guys give it a try. And we have a money back guarantee policy. If you hit one ball and you don't like it, send the other 11 back and we'll refund you for the 11. We want to make sure that you guys like what you hit. So,
wow, that's really cool. Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks again for being on the show. And if you guys, have any questions, just you can email Ian. You probably can find his email on the website, probably.
Email sales@quantixgolf.com. We have great people that'll take care of you.
Ian has a big team, man. He has 40 people on his team. He said.
Occasionally, and most of those are in our factory. We have about 11.
It's like 39 in the factory, and then
no, we have about 11 of those stateside here.
I'm just kidding around. That's so cool.
But yeah, we have great people to take care of everyone. I love everyone on my team. Couldn't ask for better people. So anything you guys need listening, we'll take care of you. You can guarantee that. So.
Well, great. Well, thanks for being on the show, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
You're gonna beat me at golf?
Stay connected on and off the show by visiting golfersauthority.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Golf is always more fun when you win.
Stay out of the beach and see you on the green.